Good morning, everyone. I'm Tiel Khouri, and today I'll be presenting on the Mbeubeuss Landfill in Dakar, Senegal, a site that reflects many of the environmental, health, and policy challenges faced by rapidly urbanizing regions in the global south. So, objectives of this presentation. This presentation aims to help us understand the significance of the Mbeubeuss Landfill in Dakar's waste management system, explore the historical development and major milestones in its timeline, use visual tools to analyze trends and health impacts, examine environmental consequences, and finally summarize key findings to support a broader discussion on sustainable waste management. So for the table of contents, here's a brief roadmap of what I'll be covering. So I will first discuss an overview of the Mbeubeuss landfill, the chronology of events, followed by a line graph that describes waste volume trends, and then a bar graph that demonstrates the public health impact, then a pie chart that discusses waste composition, followed by a table that discusses environmental indicators, and then finally a summary of findings and references that I have used throughout will be included at the very end of this presentation. So here's a brief overview. Mbeubeuss Landfill was opened in 1968 on a dried-up lake bed in Malika, northeast of Dakar. Figure 1 shows the location of Mbeubeuss Landfill. Spanning over 114 hectares, it is the largest landfill in Senegal and receives about 3,500 tons of waste per day. Informal recyclers, comprised of nearly 1,880 individuals, rely on it for their livelihoods. It plays a critical role in Dakar's waste disposal, but also presents significant health and environmental risks due to uncontrolled dumping and limited regulation. Next, for a chronology of events. I'm going to be walking through a few key moments in the development of the Mbeubeuss landfill in Dakar, Senegal. So in 1968, the landfill was established. In 1999, waste pickers formed the Bok Diom Association to advocate for their rights. By 2011, Mbeubeuss was receiving between 1,000 to 2,000 tons of waste per day. In 2020, the Senegalese government announced a €259 million rehabilitation plan to transform it into a more sustainable sorting and recycling center. And finally, in 2024, organizations like Plastic Odyssey launched microfactories to upcycle waste into furniture and paving materials, a small but rather inspiring innovation. Here is a line graph I've created to demonstrate the annual waste intake at Mbeubeuss landfill from 1968, so when it was initially established, to 2024. As you can see, in 1968, intake was around 475,000 tons annually. By 2011, that ranged from 365,000 to 730,000 tons. In 2020, that figure jumped to over 1 million tons. And most recently, in 2024, it's approximately 1.27 million tons per year. This graph highlights the growing urban burden, population growth, and the landfill's worsening environmental load. Next, for a bar graph that I've created. This bar graph focuses on the disease prevalence among residents living near Mbeubeuss landfill. As you can see, respiratory infections, gastrointestinal diseases, skin infections, eye irritations, and parasitic infections are the most prevalent health conditions. The estimated prevalence rate for respiratory infections is around 60%, and parasitic infections is around 61%, making them the two most prevalent health conditions near Mbeubeuss landfill. The rest are also relatively prevalent throughout. Next, for the pie chart. This pie chart illustrates the composition of waste materials, more specifically solid waste types at the Mbeubeuss landfill. So the largest percentage is for fines, which are small particles, and this is around 37%. And as you can see, the composition is rather vast. You have a wide variety of different materials, and some range to be bigger than others, but this is a relatively comprehensive pie chart that demonstrates the solid waste types. Next is a table that I have created that demonstrates the environmental impact indicators. This table essentially compares pollution indicators to standards. So lead in soil is 80 times higher than control areas. Cadmium is also elevated, tied to unregulated e-waste. Methane emissions from the landfill account for around 30% of Senegal's total waste sector emissions. PM10 air pollution in Dakar is up to 7%, 7 times the WHO limit, correlating with spikes in respiratory illness. So overall, these figures all reflect a toxic environment with implications for both climate and community health. Finally, for the summary to wrap up, Mbeubeuss has operated since 1968 with minimal regulation. Waste volume has drastically increased, stressing the landfill. The landfill poses serious health risks to nearby residents. Waste is poorly sorted and the environmental burden is high. Ongoing efforts like government investments and private initiatives show potential, but systemic change is needed. Thank you for listening. Mbeubeuss is more than just a landfill. It's a symbol of how urgent, interconnected, and human the environmental crisis truly is. Here are some references that have been used throughout. Thank you.